Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games. This is the Spice. Alice on a recurring Nightmare Jund list. Hopefully we'll get to see this do some spicy things. Duress starting out trying to make sure that Alex doesn't get off to a spectacular start. Rancor being snagged. That is one of the main reasons why you might want to add green to an aggressive strategy. Red doesn't quite have the market cornered on aggro, but it's very easy to go with a build with Jackal Pups, Mog Fanatics, Lightning Bolts, and just kind of stay in red. But if you're going to go into green, Rancor is a heck of an addition. Call of the Herd can also be good. We see some answers, however, in Alex's hand in the form of Naturalize, and then Sylvan Library, a card that can generate a huge card advantage over time. We'll see what the card looks like versus Jund. Not quite yet. His Spine Sliver, the first thing to hit the battlefield. Looking to set a clock. It is only 2 power. And that's blocked. So I'm actually not super thrilled with that, but people have been falling in love with it lately. That's what does do extremely well with a Rancor on that. We'll give it that. Getting a power boost when it's blocked by a 1-1. Basically unlockable if you give it trample versus ones. The library has it forward. And unfortunately, the light are off camera. Hopefully the players see the video. And in the future, we'll make sure to keep that on camera. Has been pushed aside for Alex's deck. And it would give us some real insight in terms of his use for the library. We'll try and keep an eye on his hand. Looks like so far not paying life there. But Sylvan can sometimes be draw 4 cards, be 16. But with shuffle effects, you can do a lot better than that. You don't want to just be drawing extra lands in game they might not be able to. That set Avalanche Riders on the other side of the table. Lands might be welcome. When you make that choice, you really do want to, if you can, you get some shuffles in there, get a fresh look in there. Looks like you kept one. Wooded Foothills. Gonna also be another shuffle. Back taken up by Lightning Bolt. That's like alpha level play right there. Been happening since 93. Yamaya Granger. A little bit of ramp. Mana fixing. Also a body sacrifice for Nightmare, which is what Alice is going to be looking to do. Got some major payoffs, which could really utilize almost any situation on the other side of the board. I mean, almost a combo, really. Sacrificing things like Ranged Hermit. That was a key element of a lot of the Dresser decks for a little bit, but I think they eventually were more interested in bringing in things like Great Whale, getting kind of untaps and like literally going infinite. Which is a fun way to survival of the fittest, tie that together. Alice not supporting that. It's actually just kind of Jund mid-range deck with potential insane finishes. And Deranged Hermit often would be kind of game-winning play here, but Alex has a ton of answers to it. I mean, you've got Curse Scroll, Mob Fanatic, and Grim Lavamancer, so that Deranged Hermit not likely to stick around at all. And he represents 5 of the 9 damage. He's a 1-1 on his own, but he also pumps those squirrels. So he exits the room. You're left with just some 1-1 squirrels. Alex doesn't have any blockers. We will need to expend resources, either mana or cards in graveyard or both. Seal Fire. But he can mop all of these guys up eventually. It's interesting because it kind of feels like Alex has the inevitability, but I assure you that is not the case, because Alice can go way over the top. So even though this situation might be able to get ground down and stabilized in terms of board presence, it could really go wrong super fast with Recurring Nightmare. Which is one of those cards that I look at, I don't know why, it feels like it would be banned in, or even like in Legacy. Like that card's legal, it just doesn't see any play in Legacy. It's famously banned in Legacy. A lot of people left the format at that point. Hopefully they'll make their way back to Magic now quite a number of years later, but you can definitely do Survival Fist in this format. 3 squirrels. Unfortunately, we don't see Alex's life total. He had been some damage from Sylvan and from attacks. Things like Avalanche Riders are pretty easy to just let happen. I did watch this video previously and had to stop because a customer came in. I think we just missed a place where Mog Fanatic blocked a squirrel instead of Avalanche Riders. So that really jumped out at me the first go around. If not, that's a spoiler of something that happens later in the video. But Mog Fanatic, when it was squirrels and Avalanche Riders, should block the larger creature and then sacrifice to take out a squirrel. It's just entirely correct to do it that way. You take 1 less damage and you end up with the same exact board state. Naturalize taking out Mastor. Didn't even get to untap with that. That is a lot of mana to be tapping. Oh, and Symbiotic Worm, a little bit of a reader. That is bad news. This thing is a 7/7 on its own, and when it dies, it's 7/1/1 reinsectopus. With Recurring Nightmare, that is plenty of bodies to be able to bring back the Symbiotic Worm and just keep doing that. Grim Lavamancer. Blocking 2 damage going upstairs to Alice. Again, we don't have those life totals. I don't feel like Alice is really near death, even with all of that burn. Yeah, looks like Alice can see into the inevitability there. It was a closer game. Perhaps things could have been ground out with cursor activations and such, but Alice picking up that first game on the back of her nightmare. All right, took over the shuffling. Alex with a Mod Fanatic, strong aggressive start. Alice with a Duress. Some proponents of the format would say strong open. Turn 1 Duress. However, these 2 silver actually feel super bad. That Duress really accomplishing nothing except ensuring that you won't have to stare at the potentially worst version of Sylvan Library. Neither of these are the original. The new one is a little bit confusing as it's a monk playing music, which does seem like the opposite of a library. Just in general, I mean, I don't think of a library as a place where people play loud music. All Roots and Paradise getting Alice some rant. We'll see if this Mod Fanatic decides to take out the bird. Mortavu. 3/4 for 2. Much better stat on that than the Signed Sliver. Does pick up the Mog Fanatic, which will be able to come back down. We'll see if this actually takes out the bird. No. That's totally fine as the Fanatic can actually finish off the Wall of Roots, though Massive Core just showed up. That's going to need to be contended with. Massive Core is a huge problem. I don't know if Alice, in fact, is going to be able to make a double Seal of Fire. Takes up Massive Core. All right. And pushing through 1 damage. I think it was time to sacrifice the Mog Fanatic and take out that Wall Root that already has a counter on it. And you take 3 damage and finish it off. Pushing through 1 damage is not a legit clock. In Sylvan Library, you really want to trade marker card if you're going to be going up on cards thanks to Sylvan. Tabi Orangutan played for no value to 2/2. And now this match probably going to have to take out the bird. Yeah, so Wall of Roots is still going to be able to stick around. And not letting this Horn Kabu. He's effectively shut down by this Wall of Roots. And now a Deranged Hermit. This isn't answered. That's a huge swing. Deranged Hermit and Symbiotic Worm really do just change the complexion of the game immediately. Yeah, the question earlier about the Master Core that I started to vocalize was how Alice's deck would function underneath a Master Core. Obviously, Alex not going to be thrilled to be facing it, but Alice will be discarding a card each turn. It doesn't look like Spike Feeder, part of Allurin, able to go infinite, gain infinite life, make potentially, don't know if they make infinite mana in that build as well. Definitely get infinite life. Hopefully we get to cover some Allurin on the channel in the near future. First roll, revealing Treetop Village. And I don't know if he actually played a land for turn. I think you definitely want to play the Treetop Village. Comes into play tapped. It's a real problem to not have that in play. Also, you know, you potentially want to be attacking with it at some point. Avalanche tries to always out Forest. Arclucin Forest or Alex. And this board's just a chaotic mess. This is just all sorts of bodies all over the place. Who knows how combat would go? Rixie and Furnace. He does a piece of graveyard hate. Perhaps not the best. But it does replace itself, which is nice. Certainly gone up in terms of demand. Oh, and Seal of Fire. Now, the Spiker does complicate the use of Seal of Fire because Alice has mana. She can potentially shift a counter over to protect whatever's targeted. And look, it's like targeting the Spike, so putting a +1/+1 counter on the Avalanche Riders and then gaining 2 life. Spike is a problem for removal. Well, Seal of Fire specifically, I suppose. A Lightning Bolt still would have been able to do some work. Would have been able to save something other than the spike. This is for an aggro deck, Alex's deck. Not really pushing for enough damage, and now Symbiotic Worm has a massive body, a terrifying upside if Alex does find Recurring Nightmare. Another Spine Sliver. Furnace just chipping away at the bottom card of the library. It's tough. Tormod actually gets a whole graveyard, but Furnace, if it's out early enough, can sometimes manage that graveyard. It's hard to get cards into the graveyard in this format, though. It's harder than Legacy. We don't have Brainstorms and as much free spells. Sylvan Library continuing to give Alex the best of what his deck has to offer. This is a 3/3 Avalanche Rider. I could potentially trade with one of these Spine Slivers. It's like no damage is going to be coming through here. Jump block the Wall of Blossoms. I guess maybe damage and block with a single Wall of Blossoms. Symbiotic Worm. Just trading. Each time it attacks, something's been thrown in front of it. Pyroclasm. How are you? Game store. What are we looking for? Coins down there. A little bit of a judge call here. Skipped over some of it. There was just some confusion about the fourth card being seen off of Sylvan. Dexterity errors do sometimes happen. Ones stepping in the way of Spine Slivers, keeping them at bay. Cabal Therapy snipes a Pyroclasm, seeing a Lightning Bolt. And kind of force the issue here. Able to play Lightning Bolt in response to the therapy. Alex Hellbent. Alice, 2 cards in hand. And swish goes the Horned Kabu. Both players, I believe, very low in life. There's a whole lot of chunk on. Alice is basically throwing her creatures in front there. And we have a Grim Lavamancer. And a Flashback Calder. I'm assuming that any damage at all will kill these players. Proxy and Furnace sticking out with this Uktabi Orangutan. There's a Lavamancer on the other side, so I guess Alice is above 2 life. Nightmare doing some work. some thought being put into tapping these lands. We're tapping for Colas, City of Brass for 1, another recurring nightmare, and orangutan taking out the curse roll. Need some burn on top of the library. Mog Fanatic. That does 3 damage on board. I'd love if anybody playing along at home could tell us how much Alice was actually at. Only makes sense that she's got more than 3 life left here. And are we going to have a Treetop Village activation as well? Standing Treetop Village, figuring out these blocks. Recurring Nightmare still there, ready to do some serious damage. Alex tanking on this. I don't know what the path very potentially looks like to Alex. I believe that's 14 worms or insects. Now 12. So Alex may have been blocking earlier than necessary on that symbiotic worm as well. He was able to avoid 12 damage there. Maybe this card just drawn off of Sylvan than I initially thought. Well, Blossom's coming back. Recurring Nightmare. Well, Blossom's going away for symbiotic worm. Another recurring nightmare. Symbiotic worm going away for Wall of Roots. Looks like the way is largely clear. Alex, opening up his deck will bail him out with some burn. He's looking at these cards is not good for him. Alex probably feels pretty good about the slow decision there. Eventually, the decisions you can see as Alice does some pretty spicy stuff on her way to victory.